I think this is perhaps the most universally relatable feeling we've ever discussed on the deep dive.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, the one, maybe you're working late, you're alone in the office, or just walking up your own stairs in the dark, and then suddenly,
The air just changes.
yes, that specific, chilling, visceral feeling that someone is watching you,
Mm.
your neck prickles, and you are just absolutely convinced there's a pair of eyes on you.
It's a sensation that just completely bypasses logic. It's primal. And the immediate response for almost everyone is to assume that feeling is, well, that it's external.
Now, the danger is real. Right now, right behind you.
It's an eerie, almost paralyzing feeling.
Exactly. And because it's so common, I mean, truly universal,
Yeah.
it can't just be random paranoia, can it?
Yeah.
It has to be something deeper, biological.
It really does.
Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we are taking a deep dive into the science behind that haunting feeling. We're looking at the evolutionary, psychological, and sensory reasons it happens.
And we need to pull this out of the realm of, ghost stories and put it squarely into neuroscience. Scientists actually have a term for this. It's called the stare detection phenomenon.
The stare detection phenomenon.
Right. And our mission is to understand why this powerful instinct exists, how it evolved, and, the crucial part, why it sometimes seems to malfunction so dramatically when we are completely alone.
So let's start at the very beginning. That sudden chill. Is it just a psychological overreaction, or is it a genuine, hardwired instinct that's been with us for millions of years?
It's absolutely instinctual at its core. This is not just paranoia. The feeling is directly rooted in a very, very old system in the brain. It's part of our fundamental survival instinct.
But how does feeling watched connect to survival? I mean, if you're a primitive human, aren't you worried about the lion you can see?
Well, yeah, but the real danger, historically, wasn't the threat you saw coming.
It was the one you didn't see.
Exactly. Survival depended on being able to detect predators or rival tribes who were watching you from a distance, from hiding. If you waited until you actually saw them, it was probably already too late.
So the brain had to develop a system that was tuned for
Mm.
detecting observation itself, not just movement.
Precisely. It meant the brain had to become incredibly sensitive to any tiny signal. A shadow, a slight shift in air pressure, maybe a sound you can't quite place. Anything that suggested another being was focusing its attention on you.
It was like a hidden biological alarm system.
A very sensitive one.
And it's tuned to be overly cautious.
That's the key. The brain defaults to the safest strategy. Think of it like a smoke detector, It's designed to be oversensitive.
Right, a little burnt toast sets it off.
Exactly. The cost of a false positive feeling, a little jumpy for a second, is tiny compared to the cost of a false negative.
Which is getting eaten.
Huh. So the brain just doesn't take chances. It prioritizes immediate protection over accuracy.
And that confirms it. That initial unsettling feeling isn't a delusion. It's an ancient safety program that's just working exactly as it was designed to.
Even if it's just reacting to the house settling.
Okay, that brings us to the next layer. Because if the instinct is universal, why does the feeling sometimes feel, 200% stronger? This is where it gets really interesting. Why is it so terrifying in a quiet, isolated place?
This is where our modern environments really start to mess with our ancient hardware. We introduce something called a sensory deficit.
A sensory deficit, so
Real one.
a lack of senses.
A lack of input. When your brain is in a really quiet space, it's deprived of the constant, background noise it expects to hear.
You mean like distant traffic, the hum of the refrigerator, neighbors?
All of it. We normally filter that out, but it provides a baseline. It tells the brain that the world is running as expected. When that's gone, the brain thinks something is wrong.
So it compensates.
It compensates by ramping up its overall sensitivity across all channels. It's trying to find the missing data.
And this is where that incredible number from the research comes in, right?
It's staggering. Studies on sensory deprivation show that when you take away that expected auditory information, the brain can increase its sensitivity to other inputs by up to 200%.
200%. Wow. That's not just turning up the volume. That's a massive change. How do they even measure that?
They often use things like EEG to track the brain's electrical activity. They see this huge spike in reactivity in the parts of the brain that process sound and spatial awareness when someone goes into an anechoic chamber, for example.
So your system is just constantly scanning. aggressively.
Exactly. And now you have this hyper alert brain operating at 200% in a quiet, dark room with almost no information.
The result has to be a ton of false alarms.
A torrent of them. This is where the brain starts misinterpreting completely harmless things. A tiny shift in air current, a shadow from a passing car's headlights, the floorboards creaking.
And your hypersensitive brain just tags it as presence.
It immediately triggers that ancient stare detection alarm. It's basically a small glitch in interpreting the signals.
All because the environment got too quiet.
The brain is trying too hard to protect you in an information vacuum.
That level of alarm pushes us into the third state, the really terrifying one, that absolute unshakable certainty that someone is standing right behind you.
And we call that elevated state hypervigilance. It's an excessive, sustained state of alertness.
Hypervigilance. And it's not random, right? There are specific triggers that push that sensitivity dial from 200% up to like 1,000.
Yes, the research points to four main triggers. First, being anxious or stressed. Second, being physically exhausted or sleep deprived.
Okay, that makes sense.
Third, being in a dark, low information environment. And fourth, having recently had a small scare. A loud noise, a near miss in the car, anything like that.
So if you're pulling an all-nighter, you're
Yeah.
stressed, and then you go home to your dark, quiet apartment.
That's the perfect cocktail. Your brain starts populating the shadows for you. Fatigue lowers your rational thinking. Stress primes the fight or flight response.
And the darkness takes away your ability to visually confirm there's nothing there.
Right. You've basically handed complete control over to the ancient alarm system.
Let's talk about that psychological piece, the idea that the brain just hates a vacuum. Why does it jump to inventing a threat?
Well, the brain is, above all, a prediction machine. Its job is to figure out what's going to happen next.
To keep you safe.
Always. So when it gets silence, solitude, and no information, it can't tolerate that void. It has to write a story.
And it always chooses the scariest story.
It chooses the safest story. It defaults to the highest probability threat scenario, which is, be careful, someone might be there and they might be hostile.
Even if the actual probability is 0.
Even if it's 0, the brain manufactures certainty to keep you on high alert. It's the ultimate better safe than sorry philosophy in action.
Okay, but this raises the big question, the one everyone always asks. What about the times when it's real? You feel watched, you turn around, and someone is actually looking at you.
That's a valid point, and the science doesn't dismiss it entirely. There is research on what they call the power of the human eye.
So can we actually feel a stare?
Studies do suggest humans have this strange ability to distinguish a direct gaze, even without a clear line of sight. It's likely based on incredibly subtle environmental feedback.
Like what? Peripheral vision picking up a tiny movement.
That's part of it. Our peripheral vision is fantastic at detecting motion, but it could also be a tiny shift in how light reflects off someone's head when they turn to look at you. If your system is already on high alert,
At 200% sensitivity?
it might be just enough to register that change.
So genuine detection is possible. But, and this is the key point, the feeling of being watched when you were totally alone.
Overwhelmingly, that's the internal system we've been talking about, the survival program running hot because of stress and sensory deprivation.
So when we boil it all down, what's the big takeaway here?
I think the takeaway is actually pretty comforting. That eerie, unsettling feeling is almost always biological. It's your own protective brain working overtime. It's not something external or supernatural.
It's just a very, very cautious safety program.
Exactly. It's your ancient stare detection system getting amplified by modern stress and quiet environments, which triggers that 200% sensitivity increase and pushes you into hypervigilance.
So the next time you feel that sensation when you're alone, before you panic, just pause for a second. Ask yourself, is it really quiet in here? Am I tired? Am I stressed about something?
How much control do those internal and environmental factors have over your deepest evolutionary instincts? Knowing that your brain is manufacturing the threat to protect you, that can be the very thing that helps you rationally turn off the alarm.